for like businesses, I think sometimes we pay stuff off early because we're in fear of, well, what's going to happen next week? I got the money now, let's go ahead and pay for it. And we feel like that's security rather than keeping the security of having that money in the bank.
I like to get return on my assets. Matter of fact, one of the best criteria I can give a person is to, what is your return on average net assets? And net assets means you got payables and you got receivables that got to come out of it. You got to balance those. So I try to keep my cash as long as I can, get a return on that cash, and then if I can get an incentive to pay it early, I will. If you've got somebody that's you ordered $100,000 worth of stuff from, and they say net 30, you could ask them this stupid question: is there an incentive to pay it early? And they'll say yes, or they'll say no. And then you got to find it out. Is there a penalty if I pay it in 45? I mean, you got to understand that dragging payables is one way to increase cash in your account, and speeding up receivables is the other way. The main way to keep cash in your account, though, is to run a good business. Have good sales, good margins, keep your expenses low. But you got to look after those details as well of receivables and inventory, and look at your assets, because that's expense that is real.
Lots of people run into financial problems and not balancing right. What are some of kind of the ways to help them through that, either with a small business loan or
no, sir.
Factoring. Is that a? Well, that's not talked about much. Let me
talk to you about factoring, because I've never used it, but I've had it explained to me a blue million times, and I got a cousin that's in that business, and it's legitimate. What you'll do is you'll have $100,000 worth of receivables, and let's say that the person that owes you that money is net 30, and that person is a good credit risk. You go to my cousin, and he says, I'll give you $98,000 for that receivable. Boom. You get a check the next day, you got $98,000, you go on. He collects at the end of 30 days his $100,000. You say, why would he do that? That's pretty simple. He's got plenty of money, and that $2,000 he's made on 30 days of tying up $98,000. So that's actually 24% return on his money. That's interest he's earned at 24%. Now he's got to collect the money, he's got a little risk at it. But what it says to you is you're willing to pay 24% for that money. And if I'm your customer and you want to factor my account, then that guy's going to come talk to me. He's going to say, show me your financials, all this kind of stuff. And it's going to say, wait a minute now, Ben, you're selling me something and I'm willing to pay you in 30 days, but you're willing to pay 24% to this guy? What's wrong with your financials? And the right answer for that is, well, we're growing so fast, we need the cash. That's really the only, and the other thing is, and our bank has got us where we are, and we're growing and we're using all our line of credit. So this is the way we can continue to grow. We got to slow down if we don't get to cash that way and get your customer to understand it. But it does say in his mind, if he's thinking about it, your customer, my supplier is paying 24% interest for the money. And that says that says a lot.
Well, because it's a one-time payment. It's not overtime payment, basically, because you're not even making the payment. Basically, the person, right? And now, if they don't pay, though, I'm off the hook. You're off the hook. So
you're off the hook. The factoring company, they lose the money if they don't pay.
Right. So that's why the factoring company will do the due diligence of the company that you're working for.
But you've lost a customer. If he doesn't pay, you've lost a customer. So you've got to. All those things kind of work together. They really do.
TCI Business Capital is a factoring company that provides that service. And so, if that's something that you feel like you're willing to put on the table, I'd tell you to call TCI Business Capital today. So if you don't like that process, that's one way of keeping that cash flow going. Right. Next way is small business loan.
My experience with small business loans is it takes 40 forevers to get one, and 40 forevers is a long time. And it is really burdensome to go through that process. But they do have longer terms, and they do have a lower interest rate. I prefer you go to your friendly banker, sit down, build a relationship with him, help him get and be a part of your business. And he'll, by nature, it's kind of like dragging an anchor across the lake. He's going to help slow you down. If you want to grow at 1,000% a month, your local banker is not going to be happy with that. You're going to have to go to some venture capital type of person to do that. But local bankers, normal people, that's where you get your growth money from.
Well, you know, you're exactly right. Because basically, if you go to the local bank, they're only going to meet once a month. You know, and so then they'll meet that once a month, and then they'll come back and they'll say, well, what about this issue? What about, and yeah, to get a local bank business loan is like 3 months, 4 months. I mean, it is a slow, tedious product. And I've given them tons of information. I mean, contracts and, you know, all my, what I have paid off on my house, what I have paid off on my building, my cars, you know, I mean, basically all of my assets, and put everything out there. And then they're still like, well, what about this? You know, there are some online services that are a lot quicker and faster right now, like Lightstream. Lightstream is only for people who have really high credit score, you know, to go on and make those loans. SoFi is actually, you can have a lesser credit score and get on with, I mean, they give like up to $100,000, even a little bit more very quickly, SoFi. But people are worried about putting their information online to get loans. And I'm thinking, I'd rather put it out online to get a loan quicker than I would, you know, have to go through the drama of the bank.